just record. We're going to do recording, and I'm going to do trans captions in case people need it. Okay. So let me just pull up our training slides. I'm going to just share some basic stuff in the beginning, and then we're going to move into our full presenters. So just a few housekeeping things. So for some of you, you've heard this every month for like your entire life. And for others, you might be new. So I'm just going to go through this. So we're going to keep everybody muted except for the speakers until we come to some question and answer places. And sometimes things like people join, they're unmuted. We have a couple folks here who have the power for the hammer for mute. So we'll just keep you muted. But if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. You can also do your little virtual hand raise. Being on video and raising your hand is probably not going to work because we have so many people here, but definitely try the chat or do your little hand raise. We will follow up with this training. We'll do a follow-up email that includes a recording and the slide deck. And we are now posting, we can't post our slides on the website because there's some new regulations about ADA compliance, and it's really hard to make PDFs ADA compliant to put on the website, but we're going to send them out to you. And then we're also going to do a really quick poll right now. We always do a poll just to see who's in the room, basically to see who's here at this training so that we can make sure we're doing good outreach to make sure, and this, we're not going to look at your individual answers. We're just looking big picture. We're looking at race, ethnicity. We're looking at lived experience of homelessness, and then what kind of an agency you work for, if you work for an agency, and what your role is. And this helps the presenters understand who their audience is. And it also helps us make sure as the CoC providers, sort of coordinators, that we have the right folks in the room and we're doing the outreach we need. So just take a minute. The poll should pop up on your screen, and you can just take a minute and do that poll. And while you're doing that, you also can introduce yourselves in the chat. We're just going to hang out for a minute and let people's answers pop in and let folks get their intros in the chat. All right, we're just going to keep admitting people. Good, we've got 91 people. I love that. What I will say is next year is going to look a little different in terms of trainings. So stay tuned for that. We, as you may know, there are some really massively big changes happening at HUD. And part of what that's going to impact is what we need to train on, what we can train on. So we're still waiting to get some more guidance. So we won't have a training in January. So you'll get, because we have a lot of things going on, we have the point in time count in January. If you haven't already volunteered, I'll drop that link. But we're also going to have a holiday. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on. So we're not going to do a training in January, but stay tuned for what comes after that. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. So great. We have a bunch of folks with lived experience of homelessness. And presenters, you can see about 81% of the folks that are here are homeless service providers, and a lot of folks are doing case management or housing navigation. Great. Okay, I'm going to move on. Just some basics for our training space. So as always, we're asking folks to respect the trainer and each other. And then make these last three are sort of about how much space you're taking up or not taking up in this room, virtual room. So if you tend to be a big talker like me, this is a good chance to practice just sitting back and making space for other people. If you tend to be shy, this is a good time to take a risk and ask a question in the chat or raise your hand. And let's see, hold on. So again, our CoC trainings, I think we're going to try and hold the same date and time next year. We just don't know exactly how many or what topics yet, but there will be some required trainings as always. As we said, again, this is going to look different next year, so we don't know yet, but we will have some standard trainings about case management and some other basic topics. And attendance will be monitored as always. And what that really means is not like you're going to be in trouble, but we want to make sure each agency is getting this basic information that we think everybody needs to have, and that you at least have one representative from your agency. So if you're here, great. If you see some agencies that aren't here, nudge your colleagues, show up to these. One thing that we always just like to frame at the beginning of our trainings is thinking with an equity lens. So as we go through this, thinking about mainstream benefits and who's got access to them and maybe who doesn't. What are ways that maybe you're seeing inequities come up around who can access these benefits and not? What barriers still exist? How might they be addressed? What is your role in all of this? So these are just rhetorical questions, but you might have these in the back of your mind as we go through. So just like really high level, this is some background I'm going to provide, and then I'm going to turn it over to our speakers. So when we talk about benefits, these are publicly funded services and programs that and entitlements for low income people that address really basic needs that might include but aren't limited to income and employment, housing, food and nutrition, health services, child welfare, and transportation. So these can be a really big deal and can be kind of make or break for our clients, right? So they can really help stabilize people. They can help them get their basic needs met. They can also really help increase getting people connected. These can really help increase their independence and well-being. Sometimes if we can just patch them in with a few resources, they can really help stabilize and, as I say, like kind of ride on their own. This is a huge list of mainstream benefits. So when we talk about the APR, these are things that I don't know what it's going to look like next year, but that HUD is looking to make sure that we are connecting our clients to these kinds of things. So this is broadly the kinds of cash income sources and non-cash benefits that HUD is going to, and we all want to make sure that our clients, if they're eligible, are getting connected to. And really just big picture, our role is to help people assess if they need to consider this, facilitate them getting connected with the appropriate people and departments, and then help support them maintain them, right? So maybe they have a renewal come up. There may be a way as a case manager that you're, keeping that on their radar and on your radar to make sure that they are maintaining the benefits they have. And this is just a quick snapshot of the EHSD, so Employment and Human Services Department. They're going to do most of our training today. They have a really beautiful website. Honestly, I'm jealous. They've done a really great job with their website where you can kind of get all the information you need. They're going to tell you more about it, but this is what their website looks like. And I'll just remind you, we're going to send out all these slides to everybody afterwards. So don't worry don't worry about taking notes or screenshotting. Okay, that was a lot. With that, I'm going to turn things over to our first speakers, which are Nancy and Rosalind. And so I'll do your slides for you, and you just tell me next slide when you're ready.
Great. Thanks, Jamie. John did put in chat if he can test his audio. Can we have him do that real quick?
Of course. Yes. Sorry, John. I couldn't see. Go ahead. John, let's see if you can unmute. Let me go to your thing and see if I can. John, do we have you? Oh, the communication gods are frowning upon you this morning. I'm sorry. Okay, well, we'll keep trying to troubleshoot that. Does it work if we move ahead with you, Nancy and Rosalind, and then we'll try John again when we get to his section?
Great. So Rosalind's not here today. She's sick as well as I am, so I apologize for my raspy voice this morning. We both attended a conference and caught a bug there, so it'll just be me today. But in regards to CalFresh, our CalFresh analysts are Victoria Virgin and Angela Verardi. They're both off today, so I'll be presenting. I do want to mention for the Workforce Services programs that we're going to present on today, that being CalFresh, CalWorks, and Medi-Cal, I do want to express that though there's a lot of information that is in the media, information has been, of course, published by the federal government. We take our directives from the state, and the state has not given us direction or policy for a lot of these areas. So though we know that changes are coming, we can't, of course, announce any kind of specifics on those changes or provide any policy until we receive those updates from the state. So we'll do our best to answer questions today, but a lot of things that are known to all of us from the news haven't been trickled down from state policy as legislation. And of course, Governor Newsom are really looking at how they can move forward with some of these policies or not, right? So I'd like to put that out there. Not that we don't want to give the information, but if we don't have it, we can't share. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. So we can go on to our first slide in regards to CalFresh. CalFresh is the name of the state of California CalFresh SNAP program. The overall federal program is called SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It used to be referred to as food stamps, and then in 2010 it was renamed CalFresh, and that's just for the state of California, the 58 states or counties. Next slide. So the purpose of CalFresh is really, it's the first line of defense against hunger for our customers. It really enables our low-income adults, families, and single adults to purchase nutritious food, provides crucial support to needy households and those making the transition from welfare to work. Next slide. So the purpose of CalFresh is to really enhance the food budget for our low-income families. While we know the amount that our families are receiving isn't enough to feed the whole family, the hope is that we can supplement the benefits or the income that they do have to be able to assist the family in providing or being able to access more food. CalFresh can be used to buy food plus seeds and plants that grow food for a household to eat. And they typically can't be used to buy hot foods or lunch counter items. So our CalFresh benefits can be used to buy groceries online from select retailers and can be used at local grocery stores. They can also be used at farmers markets, and they can buy of course, locally grown produce. And many of the farmers markets take part in what's called the Market Match program, which can double the participants' money to give them produce every time, or double the amount of produce that they can purchase, up to $10 free per day. So if they go to a farmer's market and use their EBT card, then they can, up to $10, they can double their purchases and get more food. We also participate in a state-administered program called Restaurant Meals program. It's also referred to as RMP. And to be eligible for the Restaurant Meals program, the CalFresh household, which can either be an individual or a family, they either must be age 60 or older, or a spouse in the CalFresh household has to be 60 or older. They're disabled, or a spouse in the CalFresh household is also disabled, or they're experiencing homelessness. The good thing about this is that CalFresh households are automatically evaluated for this. There's no separate request necessary. So when the customer applies, we determine if they're eligible for the Restaurant Meals program, and if so, we'll send them a notice telling them that they qualify for this program. Next slide. So we'll get a little bit more into this in the next couple slides, but the basic CalFresh eligibility is that a customer completes a CalFresh application, they complete their eligibility interview, they have a determination, and if they're found eligible, then they are issued a EBT card, and they can access their benefits throughout the month with the EBT card. Next slide. So the 5 ways that a customer can apply for CalFresh, the primary one that we really encourage is for customers to apply by creating a Benefits Cal account, their own account, so they can not only apply for benefits, but they can also access their case information. They'll receive notices of actions that are being taken on their case are sent to them. So if there's anything we need from them, we communicate through Benefits Cal with the customer. It's a very easy way for our customers to not only be able to apply, but just to manage their case and submit forms. Customers can also go to ehsc.org, which is that website that Jamie showed at the beginning of the presentation. And on there is a downloadable application, and customers can either complete that application and submit it by mail, or they can print it and take it into one of our offices. They can call our 866 phone number, which is listed on the slide. They can fax a completed application to the phone number on this slide. And of course, as I mentioned, they can either print that application on ehsd.org and go into our offices, or they can just go into any of our offices and apply, and we'll give them an application in the office. So if they are required to complete an interview, then it will most likely be over phone, via phone call or in person if they request to complete their application in person. The majority of our interviews are completed over the phone, but we're always happy to see our customers in person when needed. And then upon conclusion,
nope, go ahead. I was just going to say there's somebody has a question, but you finish with this slide and then we can see what.
Customers will complete their interview. We do our best when we receive the application to call the customer that same day that we receive it or the next day to just really connect with our participants as quickly as possible. And at the conclusion of the interview, we'll ask them for whatever information that we need from them. Maybe we need some kind of verification of medical deductions or something like that, medical expenses. And then once we get what we need from a customer, then we'll go ahead and determine eligibility and either approve or deny their case based on their specific case circumstances. What was the question?
Angelo, go ahead.
So the question was, I believe you guys have a CBO account, and what are the benefits of having one of those? Meaning, can you scan documents directly to workers quicker? Are you able to set appointments? Because a lot of the time when we go to the benefits cal, right? Some of our clients forgot their password, or they no longer have the same phone number, or things of that nature.
So great question. Thank you for that. The CBO benefits account is to help participants apply for benefits, but once that case is approved, we will receive the application for processing, but we will only talk to the customer. Of course, you know, we have very strict confidentiality regulations, and so we will not communicate with any CBOs about the participant's case after receiving that application. We will talk directly to the customer. So if they have forgotten their password, they can always reset it. It's very easy to reset. And of course, we encourage our customers to become familiar with the portal to make sure that they can just stay on top of their case. Any notices of action, any appointments that need to be set are done directly between the worker and the customer. The CBO account does not allow you to case manage in that way because of confidentiality restrictions.
And John, actually, we're going to try his audio real quick right before you move to the next slide. John, let's try you. The universe does not want you to participate in this training. I don't know what's happening. I wonder if it's a headphone issue. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll keep trying.
If I could say real quick, John, if you're trying your phone, unmute your phone and unmute yourself from the Zoom. I had to do both for using my phone. You're probably doing that, but just in case.
Okay. We'll keep going and we'll keep trying.
So in regards to CalFresh eligibility, we look at various things such as the information you see on this slide. We check out residency, of course, the individual social security number, their work registration, or their AVOD status, which is able-bodied adult without dependent. So it's single adults and their work status. We look at alienage and citizenship status, household composition, income deductions, and in some cases we look at resources. In certain situations, resource limits are applied. And it's $3,000 for most households for resources that we do look at, and then $4,500 for elderly and disabled households. Next slide. So in regards to citizenship, to receive CalFresh, an individual must be a U.S. citizen or an eligible legal non-citizen. Legal non-citizens who are ineligible for CalFresh are referred for our CFAP, which is California Food Assistance Program, to determine if they are eligible for benefits through that funding source. Individuals that declare U.S. citizenship do not have to provide any further verification to us, but those individuals who identify on their application that they're non-citizens are required to provide verification for us to determine if they are eligible for benefits. And some of the examples of the acceptable verifications are listed on the slide, which are the very common ones: the I-551, the I-94, I-151, and the or the I-668. I was saying one, but it's I. Next slide. So in regard to the household composition, we have to look at who's in the house when they're applying for benefits. So if you have a family, then the person who is applying must include their spouse and their children and any siblings of the children. So if we have half or step siblings, they must be included in the household as well. We consider what we call mandatory inclusion, which means that any spouse or children related by blood or marriage must be included in the home. And if there's a child under the age of 22 who's living with a parent, they must also be included in the home. So if a mother who has a, let's say, 20-year-old living in the home, that 20-year-old would be included in the household. And then on the flip side, if you have a 20-year-old applying for themselves and they're living with their parent, they would have to apply for the whole household. They would not be able to apply by themselves. And then any individuals who purchase and prepare together are considered one household composition. So in some instances, you may have a boyfriend and girlfriend living together, two girlfriends, two boyfriends. They're not related by blood, but they are purchasing and preparing together. In some instances, we've had, let's say we have two sisters living together, or two sisters and one has children and one doesn't, but they all purchase and prepare together. We would consider that one household. Next slide. So we also look at our homeless individuals, our households, and what we consider, what we define as homeless is someone who lacks a fixed or regular nighttime residence. If they're residing in a shelter, if they're in any kind of halfway house or similar institution, or if they're staying in a place that's not a regular sleeping accommodation for a human being. So that would be like a lobby or a parking lot, a park, things like that. To consider those individuals in a homeless situation. Now, our student population, students for the purposes of CalFresh are considered someone who is age 18 to 49, who is physically and mentally fit, and they're attending an educational institution at least half time. So unfortunately, those students are not eligible for CalFresh unless they are employed or self-employed at least an average 20 hours per week, or a total of 80 hours per month. And so that average can be 18 hours one week, 24 the next, 20 the next, just as long as it averages to 80 hours per month. Work study does count for being employed for the purposes of CalFresh. So we do encourage our CalFresh participants to connect with work study when they can to continue their CalFresh eligibility. Next slide. So when our customers are applying for benefits, we have to look at income and different situations in their case, but we also want to give them as many deductions as we can. We want to use as little of their income against their case as possible in their budget. So if someone is working through just regular unsubsidized employment, we'll give them a 20% deduction from their earned income. If they're self-employed, we'll deduct 40% from the gross self-employment. However, if their deductions, their deductions for self-employment are more than 40%, we really encourage our customers to provide that verification so we can deduct their actual self-employment expenses. We also will take into consider shelter costs, which of course include rent, mortgage, property taxes, and homeowner association fees. We will consider costs for utilities, which you see listed here. Child care and dependent care, we always encourage our customers to provide verification that they are paying child and dependent care, so we can provide that deduction. And then for our 60 plus population or disabled population, any medical expenses that they have, we give them the medical expense deduction as well for those. Next slide. So when a customer applies, the first thing we do for every application is determine if they are eligible for expedited services. Expedited services is when we will issue the CalFresh benefits within 3 days from the date of application. To qualify for the CalFresh expedited services, the household, their income has to be less than $150 a month, and their resources are less than 100, so that's combined, or their monthly income is less than the amount they pay for rent, utilities, or shelter and utility costs, or they're a migrant seasonal farm worker household with less than $100 in resources. So we screen every application for these eligibility criteria, and if any customer falls into one of these eligibility criteria, then we will move forward with completing the interview. Of course, like I said, we do our best to reach out within a day or two to customers, but to ensure that we can connect with them to get the application, or excuse me, the interview completed so we can issue the benefits within 3 days. Next slide. So as I mentioned, for expedited services, we issue within 3 days. And then for those households that are not eligible to expedited services, we process their application within 30 days. So within 30 days, the customer should know that they're approved or denied. They'll receive a notice of action informing them of such. Next slide. So all the CalWorks, or excuse me, CalFresh and CalWorks actually benefits are issued on an EBT card. So I'll get more into the issuance of the EBT card in just a moment, but one card is issued for the customer, and once they have that card, they should hold on to it because they actually can use that card for the duration of any case that they have. We'll link that card into any case. So if they discontinue for some reason and come back and reapply, that card will still be linked to their account. Any CalWorks and CalFresh that are issued, the card actually identifies which benefits are CalFresh and which benefits are CalWorks. And then any unused benefits for both CalFresh and CalWorks will roll over into the next month. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. So once we approve the CalFresh case, then we issue a card through the mail and then a separate PIN through the mail. So the customers will get them separately, but they will get them within a couple of days once their their CalFresh is approved. If customers need to come into their office, they're more than welcome to come in and pick up a card. And then replacement cards are either mailed to them directly or they can be created at an EHSD office if needed. They would need to know their original PIN, and then they can select a new PIN if needed through the customer service number, through the EBT Edge mobile app or the website. I do want to mention here, as you can see, the last bullet says EBT Edge website, and you can see it's www.ebt.ca.gov. The ca.gov is the indicating factor here that shows that this is the legitimate EBT website that is run by the state, as it's indicated by the ca.gov. We really encourage our customers, and we ask our community partners to do the same, to encourage our customers to only use this application, not to use any other application. As we know, EBT skimming and scamming has really become a problem. Of course, with the chipped cards, that's reduced
Testing.
Oh, there you go. There you go, John.
Yay! Now that I'm
but we do
stressed
ask,
out for the day.
No, you're good. You're good. Thanks. We do ask, oh, you're still on, John. You're still on, John. So we do ask our community partners to encourage our customers to only use this website. As I was saying, the skimming and scamming has increased, and there are a number of scammers that have created fake EBT websites or mobile applications that do end up skimming and scamming benefits from customers. So we do really encourage our customers to only use this website. And we ask that you also ask the customers to only use the EBT Edge mobile app or this website when checking their benefits. So help us combat the skimming and scamming issue. Thank you. Next slide. So this is just a quick resource guide for you. When we approve our CalFresh benefits for our customer, their benefits will be issued to them on the day of the month, coordinating with the last digit of their case number. So if their case number ends with a 3, they'll receive their CalFresh benefits on the 3rd of each month. So as you can see with this chart, just lets you know when the customer will receive their benefits monthly. Next slide. Here are some resources for you that I'm sure you're familiar with, but we always share. And then the question is, CalFresh benefits are issued monthly based on what? And I don't know, Jamie, if I was supposed to do that or if you were.
Nope, you're good. So I think I just launched the poll. So take a minute and give what you think is the right answer. So the question, you can do it in the chat too, if for some reason you can't do the poll. CalFresh benefits are issued monthly based on options are the day of the month the customer applied, the day of the month CalFresh was approved, the last number of the customer's case number, or a random selection by CalSAWS. Right, people are still answering. I'm just gonna take a minute. So I'm gonna end the poll, and the right answer is the last number of the case number. Great, thank you. Okay, let's go to the next section is, do you want to take questions now or do you want to take questions at the end?
We can take them now. Knock them out of the park.
So we have a couple minutes. If there are any questions that people have that you're hoping to get answers to about connecting people to CalFresh, we can do it in the chat, or we can have folks raise their virtual hand and unmute. Okay, I'm not seeing any. That's fine. Oh, Vicky, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a patient that applied for CalFresh, and for the interview that she was informed that her spouse need to be present for the telephone interview. But most of the time, like, the spouse has to work and they can't take time off. So what is there like like an alternative solution for that?
Both parents do have to be present. So if we can accommodate their schedule between, of course, business hours, but when applying for benefits, then the parents do have to be present. So maybe if they're available early in the morning, we can schedule an earlier appointment, or, in the evening at 4:30 or 5, we can do something like that. But both parents do need to be present.
Okay, thank you.
And there's a question in the chat. If the client is homeless but a student, will they qualify for CalFresh? No other income source.
If they're a student, the student takes precedence over the homeless status, and so they would have to be employed or self-employed at least an average of 20 hours per week to qualify. That's a very generic answer, though. There could be other qualifiers, but for your specific question, yes.
Thank you. And in the interest of time, I'm going to keep us moving, but we're going to have probably some time for more questions at the end. And you can also put questions in the chat, and maybe our speakers can respond to them in the chat.
Ooh, thank you.
Okay, John, we got you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
We're good. We got you.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Nancy. I just wanted to make sure it was actually working. So, okay. Good morning. So I'm going to give a quick overview of CalWorks, which is the cash assistance for eligible families with children. So the objective for CalWorks program is to promote and encourage work to enable families to become self-sufficient, provide financial care for children who lack financial support and care, and to protect and preserve the family unit, and to provide the opportunity for rehab of the family whenever possible. And it also makes available to children who cannot live on their own the kind of care and treatment best suited to their needs. Next slide, please. So in order for a family to be eligible for CalWorks, they have to have children, of course. They have to be under the age usually of 18, and there has to be deprivation for those children. So the aided child has to be deprived of parental care because of one of the parents is deceased. One of them is either physically or mentally incapacitated, or the applicant parent is not working or working less than 100 hours per month, or continually absent from the home. Like I said, children have to be under the age of 18, or they're 18 years old and in high school, and they're going to graduate prior to their 19th birthday. There's also some property rules. Property of the child and the parents must be under the following limits, and this changes usually, I would say, almost yearly. Currently, it's for families without elderly or disabled members. They can have $12,137 in combined personal and real property for the whole family, or if they are elderly or disabled household members in the home, they can have up to $18,206. Next slide, please. So when applying for CalWORKs, they have to complete eligibility forms. They have an interview with an eligibility worker, and aid cannot begin until all conditions of eligibility have been verified. And so that would mean they would need to apply for a social security number if they don't already have one, verify citizenship, or show proof of legal immigration status. They have to verify their income and their property. And that includes bank accounts, any electronic accounts that they have. They have to apply for potentially available income such as UIB or disability if they may qualify for disability. And they have to cooperate with the district attorney in securing child support from the absent parent. Next slide, please. So again, every situation is different, but the kind of verifications that a CalWORKs applicant family may need to provide is identification, such as driver's license for each parent or caretaker in the home, social security cards for every family member, birth certificates for every family member in the home, immunization records for every child under the age of 6 years old for whom aid is being requested. And they need to provide the registrations for each car that they own or co-own, ownership papers for land, buildings that are co-owned or being bought, and then receipts or bills of sale for any recreational vehicles such as boats, trailers, motorhomes, etc. Next slide, please. So CalWORKs allows a gross income limit of $450. Well, you get to subtract $450 from any earned income of each employed person, and then you add all of the remaining earned and unearned income together to determine the gross income for the family. That amount is then compared to the MBSAC, the minimum basic standard of adequate care, which is by family size. It changes depending on the number of people that are in the assistance unit. And if the family's total gross income after that $450 deduction exceeds the MBSAC level for that family, the family's not eligible. Next slide, please. Families without elderly members, like I said before, they can have up to $12,137 in combined personal and real property. Families with elderly or disabled members can have up to $18,206 in combined personal and real property per family, and like furniture, clothing, appliances, all that is exempt. The family home is exempt provided the family lives in the home, and the value of one automobile up to $33,499 is exempt. Next slide, please. So there aren't any durational residency requirements for CalWORKs families. If they live in California and intend to continue to live in California, they may be eligible. Family members must be legal residents of the United States to get CalWORKs. Next slide, please. And then once CalWORKs is approved, the cash benefits are issued onto their EBT card, and the benefits they're different than CalFresh. They're paid between the first and third day of the month. So again, the last digit of the case number dictates which day of the month they get it. If it's like a 0 to 3, they get it on the first, 4 through 6 on the second, so on, something like that. So it's based on the last digit of the case number, like CalFresh, but CalFresh goes out until like the 10th of the month instead of the first 3 days. Next slide, please. So part of CalWORKs is in that we're trying to assist clients to become self-sufficient. We have a welfare to work program for work eligible adults, which supports the underemployed and unemployed parents to develop their work skills and or education and assist the family becoming self-sufficient. Additionally, they have barrier removal services, which are available for the family, such as domestic violence services, mental health, substance misuse services, English as a second language courses, and learning needs evaluations, etc. Supportive services that are available. Well, could you go back for me one more? Yeah, there we go. Almost done. Supportive services that are available to provide support to the eligible adult are like transportation to and from their activity, ancillary support, payment for books and supplies when in an approved educational activity, and stage 1 child care when eligible. Next slide, please. So check your knowledge. Immunization records are required for each child. Is it under 24 months? Is it for all school-age children, or is it for children under the age of 6?
Right, we have the poll going. We've still got some answers coming in. All right, I'm going to end the poll just so we can keep moving, but I'm going to share the results. So the answer is under the age of 6. Thank you, John.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, take a minute for questions. Anybody have common questions or challenges that you're trying to solve relating to connecting folks to CalWORK? You can drop it in the chat or raise your virtual hand. All right, I'm not seeing any. So, oh, wait. Oh, can you talk about how people can ask for a DV, domestic violence waiver?
Yeah. For DV waivers, they would just need to speak to their worker and let them know that they're a survivor of DV or currently in a DV situation. And generally, what happens is we would automatically do a referral over to Stand, and then they work with Stand, and they are the ones who decide if the DV waiver applies, and they would let the workers know. So that's the general way that usually works. But all they have to do is communicate that to their worker and let them know, and then they should take it from there and let them know what's required.
Great. And then there's another question: does CalWORK still have a time limit?
Absolutely. CalWORKs has a time limit. It's back to 60 months now. Was 48 months for a number of years, and now it's back to 60 months.
Thank you. Any other questions before we move to the next section? Okay, you can always add them in the chat, and John can respond in the chat.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we're going to talk about Medi-Cal. We should have Krista and Kelly.
Sorry, I was having a little issue there.
You're good. You're good.
Good morning. All right, so Kelly and I are going to present some information on Medi-Cal. Next slide, please. So Medi-Cal is California's Medicaid healthcare program. Medicaid is the federal name, and in California, we call it Medi-Cal. The program pays for a variety of medical services for children and adults with limited income and resources. Medi-Cal is supported by federal and state taxes, and there are about 300,000 people enrolled in the Medi-Cal program in Contra Costa County. Next slide. Thank you. All Californians are potentially eligible to Medi-Cal, including low-income families, children and individuals, pregnant women, blind and disabled persons, residents of nursing homes or long-term care facilities, persons with tuberculosis, persons needing kidney dialysis or tube feeding, and other specialized categories such as payment of your Medicare premiums, deductibles, and coinsurance. And we also have the breast and cervical cancer treatment program. In general, the county has 45 days to process the Medi-Cal application. To speed up the application process, it is important to submit a complete Medi-Cal application, identification, social security number if applicable, proof of citizenship or immigration status, and proof of any income, earned or unearned, like work, self-employment, unemployment benefits, Social Security or veteran payments, pensions, etc. And for Medi-Cal income calculations, we have our MAGI, which is our modified adjusted gross income MAGI methodology, and we also have our non-MAGI income methodology. So depending on the makeup of your family or your age, you will fall into either the MAGI or non-MAGI category. So for MAGI Medi-Cal, the household income is based on modified adjusted gross income as reported on the federal tax return. And household size for the MAGI household is based on several factors, including the tax filing unit and not necessarily who lives together or how they're related. For our non-MAGI Medi-Cal, we usually is for our elderly, blind, and disabled applicants. And we look at all gross income, and the household size is based on who lives together and how they're related. Our managed care plans. So individuals approved for no-cost medical or long-term care services are required to enroll in one of two Medi-Cal managed care plans in Contra Costa. In Contra Costa, we offer Contra Costa Health Plan and Kaiser. An enrollment packet is sent by our healthcare options, and it's very important to read all materials carefully and select a plan and a provider within 30 days. If the customer does not select a plan will be assigned to them. And our healthcare options can assist with enrollment or disenrollment in a Medi-Cal health plan. Next.
Okay, so I'm going to finish out the slides for Medi-Cal. So some of the Medi-Cal member responsibilities are that all Medi-Cal members are required to report changes within 10 days of the date of the change. So information may be reported verbally or through any type of communication, and some of the changes that they would need to report would include all types of income changes, a change in address, household composition changes like a marriage, separation, the birth of a child or a pregnancy, disability, a change in immigration status, and an annual redetermination of eligibility is required for all Medi-Cal recipients. So we have some upcoming changes in 2026 for the Medi-Cal program. So effective January 1st, 2026, the asset test is going to be reinstated for our non-MAGI programs. So the asset limits for these types of households will be set at $130,000 for one person, and then an additional $65,000 for each additional person, up to a maximum of 10 people. Also effective January 1st of 2026, new Medi-Cal applications for individuals 19 years of age or older who are not pregnant and do not have satisfactory immigration status or SIS are unable to, or they're unable to establish SIS will be eligible to restricted scope Medi-Cal only. Current Medi-Cal members who enrolled prior to January 1st of 2026 who do not have satisfactory immigration status or are unable to establish SIS, they will remain eligible for, they will continue to retain their full scope Medi-Cal coverage. Another change, July 1st of 2026, current Medi-Cal members who do not have satisfactory immigration status or are unable to establish SIS will transition to full scope Medi-Cal without dental benefits. So Medicare is a health insurance program for people 65 years of age or older, and some people under the age of 65 with certain disabilities or conditions. Eligibility for Medi-Cal. So an individual or their spouse has had to have worked at least 10 years and paid Medicare taxes, be 65 years old, and a citizen or permanent resident of the United States. The individual is under 65 and has received Social Security disability benefits for 2 years or longer, then they would be eligible for Medicare. And individual has end-stage renal disease or Lou Gehrig disease. So this was mentioned earlier, but to apply for any of our programs, Medi-Cal, CalWORKS, or CalFresh, participants can apply online by creating a Benefits Cal account or mail their application to the Concord address listed. We also have a fax number to fax in applications, or they can apply by phone at the 800 number listed, or visit the nearest Employment and Human Services Department to apply in person. So knowledge check. So a property evaluation is required for non-Magi Medi-Cal eligibility determination in 2025. True or false?
Sorry, I'm having issues launching this for some reason, but we can, well, just answer it in the chat. I don't know what's going on. You folks can drop their answers in the chat, whatever you think the answer is, true or false. Oh, I know what's happening. Hold on one second. There we go. Okay. Great, we're getting some answers rolling in. And again, queue up any questions you might have. You can either drop them in the chat, or we can actually take them now while the poll is going. Any questions about Medi-Cal? All right, I'm gonna end the poll. I'm gonna share results. Oh, so it's about 50-50. The answer is false. So, oops, let's see here. All right, so property evaluation is not required. Any questions about Medi-Cal while we're on this topic? Okay, I'm not seeing any. You can always add them to the chat. All right, we'll move on to GA.
Hi, I'm Magdalene Gable. I'm the GA Advocacy, CAPI, and Internment Program Analyst. My main focus is general assistance because that's and advocacy because those are our two largest programs that I work with. Next slide. So we're going to talk about what is general assistance, how to apply for general assistance, the required documents needed at intake, how our eligibility levels work, how we provide homeless and housing and homeless assistance, and additional general services, additional general assistance services. Thank you. So what is general assistance? The GA program is designed to support the most vulnerable and indigent members of the community. As such, our eligible applicants typically have little to no financial resources and income, and property limits for general assistance are very low, so they can't really have very much. The General Assistance Program is a short-term, employment-focused program for persons unable to sustain gainful employment and have no other means of financial support. GA provides payments to eligible residents who don't qualify for other public assistance programs. GA applicants are typically single, unemployed adults with no dependents and are often disabled. If an applicant has children, they would not that are still in the home, they would not be eligible. Okay, next slide. Oh shoot, sorry, I just zoomed myself out of here. All right, to apply for general assistance in Contra Costa County, we take applications several ways. Applications can be completed online at Benefits Cal, and there is they would check cash program, but there's two cash programs, so sometimes that gets a little confusing because there's the CalFresh, CalWORKS, and us. So just make sure that sometimes they apply for for GA, but they're not meaning to apply for GA. So sometimes we get applications for people who are completely ineligible because they sort of got confused about which cash program they're applying for. Customers can also request a paper application be mailed to them. They can come to the office and get one. They can download an application for general assistance at the WWEHSD page that was shown at the beginning of the presentation. Like I said, they can come into any of our Employment and Human Services Department locations and request a GA application. We're in Richmond, Antioch, and Pleasant Hill. They can also call these 2 numbers to schedule a GA intake meeting, or basically, and when they do that, when they call in those numbers and request that they want to apply for GA, then they will have an application mailed to them. And once they can also, when they're returning their completed application, they can mail it to the address listed there, or they can drop it off. Or they can also, we're doing a lot of mostly over the phone telephonic interviews. So we also use Adobe Sign to have the clients get their documents and sign them and send them back to us. Okay, next. Some of the required documents for a general assistance application. So if they're coming in and saying they have, some disability, they need medical proof of a physical or mental disability. And this could be a doctor's note stating the condition and its duration. We also have an in-house mental health person who does, or she's a mental health clinician, and they can get an appointment with her to determine what kind of disability they have and if it's going to impair them from for their ability to work. We need a valid photo ID, such as a state ID, passport, U.S. military card. And then if they don't have that, we can also do the DMV, I think it's the low cost fee waiver that we can also give them that. We need verification if they have any vehicle. So if they have 1, 2 vehicles, we need to make sure that we have that information about who they're titled to, if they are paying on them, how much they still owe. Proof of income, and that includes Venmo, PayPal, or Cash Apps, because we're going to want to see, and there are ways that our applicants can get that information, but we're going to need that information, as well as if they have a regular bank account. And if we have a bank statement, we're going to need all the pages. A lot of times we have issues with getting all the pages. We do need all the pages, and it should be the balance from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. So this is a major reason why general assistance clients often get denied GA. It's because they have not provided some of these required documents. We oftentimes don't get the bank statement or the income statement. Usually we can help them with the ID, but it's a lot of what proof of income that we don't get. And then if they don't provide it to us within 30 days of the application date, then they would be denied GA. Next slide. So here are some of our income and property limits or eligibility. Applicants may own 1 vehicle valued under $4,500. They can own a home that they live in. They can have liquid and non-liquid assets under a combined value of $500. And they can have less than $50 of available liquid property in the bank or the person. So in terms of income eligibility, our standard of aid for a level, so an employable individual who lives alone, is $336. If they make over that, they're ineligible. And also that $336 is divided by a housing cost and a personal need. So if they don't have a housing cost, well, I'll go down in the next one. So that's our income and property limits. We'll go to the next slide so I can explain the levels. So our employability levels are determined at intake. So that's why we need the medical proof of there's some kind of disability. The eligibility levels determine how long an individual can receive GA and the amount that they will be receiving. So if they come in and they don't have any medical disability, no mental health issues, no substance abuse issues, they would be considered an employable individual with no disability. Or if they had a short-term disability, it couldn't last more than 30 days. So they would be eligible for up to 90 days of aid in a 12-month period, and they would get $336 a month. So that and they can maybe they had like a month of aid in January of the year, then they would be, or say they had 30 days of aid available to them that they used in January, they could still have 60 days left within that 12-month period. So the level 2 individuals are considered temporarily unemployable due to a disability lasting under 12 months. And typically these are folks who have identifiable substance abuse, whether they identify an intake or the worker may sense they may have some issues. They may get referred to our GADS, which is our GA Alcohol and Drug Diversion Services program. And we have a licensed addiction person who does the evaluation and can assign them to certain drug Medi-Cal programs with in the county. So those are usually our level 2. So they get aid for up to 12 months, and but their grant remains the same as a level 1. So level 1 and 2, the grant remains the same. It's just the difference in how long they can receive GA. For level 3, this is a person who is unemployable due to a long-term disability, and that's over 12 months or more, or they're over the age of 65. They would get we would base it off a GA 341, which is our medical information, or the doctor's note. And if they said, they're permanently employable, then they would continue to get GA until they got Social Security. These folks must apply for Social Security and comply with our in-house Social Security advocates. So all level 3 individuals get referred to advocacy program, and the advocacy social worker helps them to start or continue their advocacy, their SSI application. So these folks get $375 a month, and again get over 12 months of aid, dependent on how long their disability is going to last. And if it's over a year, we usually reassess every year to see if they're still having the same problems that's impeding their ability to work. Okay, next slide. Some other eligibility factors to consider. They must reside in Contra Costa County for at least 15 days prior to applying, and they may provide proof of residency, because sometimes we've had people who come to our county and then they just go to another county and county hop. And so we really, if there's, we want to make sure that they have an intention to stay and that they have been here at least 15 days. They should be an adult, 18 years or older. Individuals under 18 years but are legally married without dependents are eligible. They must be a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident and provide proof of this, including proof of their Social Security number. And as some of the other programs mentioned, applicants must apply for all available income that may be available to them, such as pensions, unemployment insurance benefits, state disability insurance, and that's part of the requirement. And so if they have a potential pension, that even a retirement account, that they may get penalized, because GA is a program of last resort, we do require them to access that account. If they don't want to, they would be ineligible for GA. Anyone, we don't have a problem, anyone who's on parole or just getting out of jail, they are eligible to general assistance. If they were a fleeing felon, then that would be a case where they would not be eligible to GA. Okay, next slide. So what do we provide for housing and homeless assistance? Well, the GA program can assist with rent payments for their rooms or homes. So part of that grant of the 336, part of it, I think it's like 176, 178, can go to help them pay for a room. However, they can use the option of paying using the whole amount, but they have to work with their worker, and depending on their eligibility, they may be able to use the whole amount towards their rent. We also provide payments to individuals who are couch surfing, paying with friends to stay on their couch. We can do that. We provide assistance with PG&E bills and phone bills. If they're living with someone and they have to share the PG&E bill or their phone bills, we can also provide financial support for that. We also provide a priority shelter placement for our homeless folks if they want to go into an available bed at the 2 county shelters in Richmond and Central. If they're in Antioch, we don't have a contract with any of the shelters out there, so they would not be required to go to a county shelter. They would just get the monthly homeless allotment. We also have availability to provide them hygiene kits, sleeping bags, and other essentials needed depending on their circumstances. We do referrals to HDAP for system navigation and to help with their SSA application and to get benefits, working with housing applications for temporary and long-term housing. Okay, next slide. Some of our additional services that are offered. I mentioned the general assistance, alcohol and drug diversion services. So that's substance abuse assessment and treatment. We have a licensed individual who kind of does an assessment, and they find out what appropriate program, if it's 3 days a week for X amount of hours or once a week for X amount of hours, and then they kind of monitor that. And if they continue to be compliant with GA, they have no problem. They will continue to get GA. If they have a problem, or they excel over a certain amount of absences, or they go over, then they're at risk of losing the GA. We do have a mental health services. We refer for our mental status exam, which is an evaluation of their mental health, if requested at intake, or if there are signs the worker can see based on excuse me, based on our symptom list. They may be able to refer them based on their behavior or the way that they're talking. And that mental health service professional will fill out a form, determine their eligibility level, and refer them to more treatment services or therapy and other services that may be available for them. Excuse me. And the mental health counselor and the GA counselor work together. So if someone comes to mental health and hasn't gotten a substance abuse referral, but they say that they need it, they work with each other to try to get the individual covered by both those programs or services if needed. We also pay for special needs assistance. So that includes special diets if they're diabetic or if they're gluten-free. That's like a $25 stipend they can get. We pay for work tools, union dues. So if they are a member of a union but they have back dues, we can look at paying those back dues to get them in good standing with their union so that they can go and get work. Eyeglasses, if we need that, we can do that. Work clothes. We do have a availability for like a work clothes or clothes closet, but we also can, if they have a verified job, we can also work with getting them, going and buying, having them get some money to buy some work clothes. So there's a lot of different services that we can provide, and our goal is, to try to help those people, to maybe they need a little help to be able to get back up. Some of these, if they need tools and things like that, we can do that to help them become employed. And those other folks, if not, we can help them get on more stable aid. That's a lot more, just like Social Security. And the last thing I will say is that workers have 30 days. So when the 30 days from the application date to determine benefits. A lot of them usually determine them sooner than that, but they do have up to 30 days to determine those benefits. Next slide. So that's our program. Is there any questions?
It looks like there's a question in the chat. In paying the rent for rent clients, is the money taken from the grant?
So if for rent, yes. So part of the grant, it's 48% and 51%. So there's 51% of our grant is for housing and 48 is for personal needs. So if they don't have a housing need, they may not get that. But if they're homeless, we can issue monthly homeless assistance, and that's for people who, so if we don't have a shelter bed for them, if they don't want to go to a shelter bed and they have good cause, we have a lot of reasons for good cause. There's drug use, they don't feel safe, they have an animal. There's many reasons where they don't want to go to the shelter, and we will honor those and then issue them the monthly homeless assistance, which is the other part of the housing part of the grant. But if they're, staying with friends or have some sort of place that they're regularly staying at, we can pay for that, whether it's a room, a couch. But it's all part of that 336 to 375 grant.
And then there's two more questions. One is, what does the SSI advocate do? And the other is, what's the best way to reach the GA worker?
So on how to apply, there was a note on applying for slide 5. It shows if you want to schedule a GA intake or get an application mailed to the individual, dialing one of those two numbers. I think the 925-655 number on the 925-655-0990, I think that number goes to, it's a round robin of the general assistance clerks. So you may be able to ask them to forward your call to the worker. And then what was the question about Social Security?
In the chat, what does the SSI advocate do? And actually, we're about to get into advocacy, so I wonder if we're going to answer that there.
You might get that there. I don't know, Nancy. I haven't heard back from any of the advocacy workers. That Renata, who's the supervisor, had some incident where she's working from home, and so I think something went out. So we don't have her there. I can go over some of the advocacy stuff.
Okay, we have a slide deck next, but then there's another question, which are the reasons for not wanting to stay in shelter that you recognize written down anywhere?
Yes, they are. Where are they written down? That's a good question. I know they're in our manual section. I think it's.
And we can also, if you need to research that, we can put that in a follow-up email to everybody.
I'll follow up with that. I think it's just in our manual section, but I'll have to look on the forms because I do have to fill out a form stating they don't want to go to the shelter and why. So I'll have to look at that form and I can get back to you. Okay. But the advocacy worker does a lot for them. They do take them to appointments. For homeless folks, they work with CORE to try to go out in the field if they're, lose contact with some of those folks who are homeless. They have a special they help them fill out the advocacy. The SSI application. And they take them to appeals hearing. They do as much as they can to try to get these folks who are eligible Social Security. And they also, I think they work with, trying to get them with a lawyer who can help them. So yeah, there's a lot that they do.
Great. Another question, if a client is on general assistance and is placed in permanent supportive housing, how do we assist in making sure the client's rent comes out of the grant before issuing the grant monthly?
Can you say that again? A little louder?
It's in the chat, if that helps.
Yeah, let me look at that.
Marina, it's
the client is on general assistance and is placed in permanent supportive housing. How do we assist in making sure the client's rent comes out of the grant? So we need to know that. So if they've moved there and we're not told, we won't know. So, getting verification of where they live and how much the rent is. So we have a form called the GAISV. And so that form, so if you let the worker know that, this person is staying here, we send the GAISV to that facility and they can let us know, yes, the individual is responsible for X amount of their rent. And then we can, and who it goes to, and we have a whole housing packet too. So we just need to be informed because a lot of times we don't know when they move. So we need to know, yes, and then just get verified information when they started living there and that they are living there.
Great. Any other questions around GA?
If you have any questions, you can always give me a call. My number's on the slide deck. And we appreciate any assistance to help our clients, get their verifications in. Like I said, that's a huge one, is failing to provide for their verifications or failing to show up for their intake phone appointment. So anything you guys can do to help, we are really grateful.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, so the answer, yes, if someone is on
That
full,
is
they are
correct.
potentially eligible.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't know if this person is here. These slides, Nancy, I don't know if there's somebody on your team that's able to present on this.
I actually was able to log on. Can you guys hear me?
There you go.
Oh,
Great.
Yep. I was just, I'm sorry for logging on late. I just received an email a few minutes ago letting me know that I was going to be sitting in for my supervisor. So I apologize for joining in late.
No worries. You have perfect timing. You just tell me when you
Absolutely.
want the next slide and I will advance it for you.
Go right ahead. Good morning, everybody. My name is Rasan Robinson, and I'm a social worker in the advocacy unit here in 400 Ellenwood. I actually service all three areas of the county. So I don't know if there's any text or anything that goes along with the slide. Oh, eligibility criteria. All right, here we go. All right, so this pretty much lists what the eligibility requirements are, so I won't read over them. I'll just have you guys read them at your discretion. But how the referrals are made, as it says, there's the eligibility worker makes the referral over to the advocacy unit. In recent times, we've actually been receiving referrals from quite a few places. From ECMs, we've been receiving them from Community Connect workers. So however they get to us, the criteria remains the same. We try to give clients a little bit of an overview of how long it's expected to take. So that's what this that slide that was just on there was referring to. If we could go back to that one for just a sec.
Yep, sorry, having technical difficulties. Give me 1
Oh,
second.
no worries, no worries. I was just trying to keep up
This
with
is
you
a me
guys.
problem. Hold on 1 second. I don't know what just happened.
No worries. So
Hold,
let me
please.
backtrack a little
Okay, there
bit.
we go.
So, like I said, we get referrals from clients have to be attached to a cash-based program, so they have to be either in receipt of cash aid from General Assistance or from CalWorks. And so when they get referred over to us, as the slide is highlighting, we kind of give them an overview of how long they can expect for each level to take. The initial application process usually takes between 3 to 6 months. Reconsideration, another 3 to 6. Hearing, anywhere from 1 to 18 months. And then in the appeals counsel step is when all else fails, if the client is denied at the hearing, they could actually request to have an appeals counsel referral, but that automatically puts them back another 2 years. The appeals counsel process takes about 2 years. Now, all of these time estimations actually are in a best case scenario. These were actually, around COVID time and prior to COVID time. Now with the staffing issues that Social Security has been having, and with the government layoffs and things like that, add another month and a half, maybe 2 months to all of these. But this is just an overview of what we tell our clients. As soon as I get a case, I call clients, introduce myself, and tell them, hey, I'm going to be the social worker that's working with you for the next 18 months, at least to 2 years, until we get your application pushed all the way through. Next slide, please. All right, let's see here. Review process. So yes, the case is assigned to, so we do the SSI application. When I get the case, I meet with the client, make sure that I get the required releases and forms and things, and then I go online to ssa.gov and I file an initial application for SSI, as well as for any other programs that they might be eligible for. We cast as wide a net as possible. So for Social Security Disability Income, SSDI, for any retirement benefits that they might be eligible for if they're retirement age, if they were married 10 years or longer and their spouse is no longer living, any survivors benefits they might be eligible for. So we cast as wide a net as possible for all of those programs. And then as the flow chart shows, after we file the initial application, their case is assigned to an analyst. It's usually somewhere in Roseville, the Department of Disability Determination Services. And that's what that down bottom left is showing. Case is sent to DDS. Communication with analysts happens. Usually they start 30 days after we send in the application. Both the client and myself start to receive the same paper copies of any correspondence. So if the analyst is trying to get in touch with them, as soon as I get that packet, usually I'll call the client and say, hey, have you received your copy? Let's make sure we're on the same page. Did you have any questions? Did you get it knocked out, and please get it sent back to them because everything that DDS sends out is usually very time sensitive. Collecting the medical records and medical appointments with clients. So what I do as part of my initial application is I do send a packet to the clients that asks them where are their medical records located. They sign a few release forms and consent forms allowing us to request those records. And then we send out requesting all of their most recent medical records going back, I believe, we usually do 3 years because I believe that's how far back Social Security will look for their date of onset of disability. So completes the SSA questionnaires, the function reports. There's a function report, a work history report. There are sometimes, function report, work history report, adult disability reports. Those 3 reports are actually very, very pivotal in helping us to collect the information that we need as far as what the client's suffering from, where they've been seen, and whether or not they've been through the process before. And then last but not least, transporting clients to consultation examinations or providing public transportation. So when it comes to the consultative evaluations, our unit is expected to transport clients to their appointments and back. Those appointments can be anywhere in the county or out. I've transported clients to Napa. I routinely have to transport clients to Oakland, San Leandro. When they're scheduled for the consultative evaluations, those are basically the doctors that Social Security hires to make sure that the client is suffering from what it is that they say that they're suffering from. So I usually get in touch with the client beforehand, arrange transportation assistance. If they don't already have it, I can provide it myself, or CoR, some of our outreach groups provide assistance with that as well. And then I'm very specific in making them understand that it's the consultative evaluations and the major appointments like the hearing or the meetings with their attorney that we provide transportation for. If it's just their regular meetings with their doctors or their therapists or anything like that, that's what their general assistance or their cash aid, their CalWorks funds are supposed to be able to provide them the transportation funds for. So I'm very specific in that and let them know we are here to provide them overlapping services. Myself, CoR, everybody involved, we try to make sure that we have transportation aligned for our clients to get to where they need to go. But also involved in that is we try to build in a level of proactivity and a level of self-sufficiency, explaining to them that they will be responsible for getting to their own regular doctor's appointments because sometimes clients get those mixed up. If we can go to the next slide, please. All right, denied applications. So the types of appeals, the first level is the initial application, where it says there, the reconsideration appeal. I say about 40%, 60% of people who apply get denied at the initial application. We have to file what's called the reconsideration appeal. That usually, as you saw in the first slide, takes another 3, 6, maybe 9 months for them to decide. During that time, what we're doing is filing it. We send out the client a disability appeal form. It's a 15-page or 12 to 15-page form where they can list if they've been diagnosed with any new medical conditions since they started this process, where they can make us aware if they're taking any new medications since they started this process, or if they're seeing any new professionals, whether it be for their physical health or mental health. Once we get the reconsideration appeals in, as I said, it takes however long it takes Social Security at their discretion to make us aware. The next level is the hearing appeal. When we do the hearing request, I make it very clear to the clients that now is the time where an attorney referral is appropriate. So when I'm sending them out the hearing request paperwork, I usually include a DA1, which is the list of all of the disability attorneys that we work with here in Contra Costa County, as well as an IGAR 10, which makes them aware that legal services are available for them and that they do not have to pay any money out of pocket for them. The timeline, again, every time you have a denial, you have approximately 60 days from the date of that denial to get your appeal in. So if they were denied on November 1st, we have until January 1st to get the next level of appeal in. If an appeal deadline is missed, good cause can be requested. Simply as a form that we type up and send out to them and say, hey, we request a little extra time in order to get in touch with the client. We request a little extra time in order for us to be able to submit this case. And we list the reason why it took us extra time. Client is homeless and we have disabilities contacting them, whatever the situation may have been. And if we can go back to the types of appeals column right there, I skipped that appeals counsel one, but there really wasn't much more to explain on it. It was just as I said, if clients are denied at the hearing level, either themselves or if their attorney feels it's appropriate, the attorney can request that the case be seen by the appeals counsel. And then it just puts their case, so to speak, at the bottom of the pile. It takes them another 2 years for their case to come up and be reviewed again. Bear with me here, folks. Last, how to file online. SSA.gov is an excellent resource. We're able to file the applications, the SSA 8000, which is the initial SSI application for a client. We can fill it all out there, print it out, have the client sign it. There's also a way to do the disability application right there online. So when you're doing the SSI information, they ask if you'd like to do the disability application simultaneously. So you hatch two birds with one stone. And then also, if the clients feel more comfortable with coming into the office, they're more than welcome to do that. We can sit there and get all of the paperwork and everything done. I usually tell them to project about 2 hours for us to get through all of the paperwork. And last but not least is the paper snail mail. Some of our clients have agoraphobia issues with leaving the home. So I do the best that I can with them on the phone, let them know I'm going to be sending them the documents that I need them to sign and date, complete them, and get them right back to me in the self-addressed envelopes that we provide. Next slide, please. All right. Receive letters in the mail. Attend financial/perk appointment. Okay. Don't ask me what the acronym for perk is because we always forget it. But what this letter is basically making you aware of is that the client has been provisionally granted, and that is the last appointment that they need to attend so that SSI can verify that nothing has changed from the time that they actually started their application. So their income information is the same, their address information is the same, et cetera. If they have any checking or saving accounts information that they would like added, that they would like their benefits deposited into, that's where they would provide that information is at the perk appointment. It says we have 30 days to follow up, then 1 year. If not, then client must start over with a new application. Because it is so difficult to serve our clients because they move a lot, because they are homeless, sometimes the perk appointments letters get lost in the shuffle, meaning the client may not have ever received it. Or more often than not, what I'll see is that the client receives the information, but we as the social workers do not receive a perk appointment letter. So I'll usually find out from the clients when it is that they've been scheduled for that appointment. I'll make provisions to transport them to said appointment and then back home. Representative payee. Common problems with representative payees based on a hard-to-serve population. Our clients have no friends or family to rely on. They have limited payee options, and they're not connected to mental health. There is a way that we can get our clients to have payee services, but they have to also agree to accept mental health services. And for our most difficult to serve clients, that's usually a very big barrier. They're very hesitant to it. Luckily, though, we have lots of community partners here that are always pointing us in the direction of any new resources that come available. I had heard that there was a program that was being offered over at 500 Ellenwood. By the time I heard about the program, it had been subsequently rolled back. But we try to keep each other in the loop. We try to keep each other abreast, and most importantly, keep each other empowered and accountable. So, but that is a very big issue that we're having. There are not any payee services really here in Northern California for our clients. There used to be several, but after the pandemic, lots of them closed down. So what Social Security has been doing or had been doing was they were at first during the pandemic time, they were telling clients, we're not going to grant your case until you can actually find a payee. That became so problematic that they said, okay, we're changing our policy. We're going to now grant the clients and allow them up to 6 months of payments. And if they can handle them themselves, then we'll let them go forward. If we see that they're mismanaging their funds, then we'll request that they have a payee. Unfortunately, though, what usually happens is our clients get these lump sums of money without any financial management or anybody to help them. They go out and fall off the grid and spend their money as they will. And then they subsequently sometimes wind up falling off of Social Security because they don't have the structure to go through with maintaining their finances and everything on their own. And that is the major hurdle that we're facing in Contra Costa County is a lack of payee services. Next slide, please. Okay, so This is a little quiz. So the deadline to file an appeal for denial is anyone? Feel free to spit it out. 30
I have a
days,
little
60 days.
poll going.
We're
so
you
fancy
guys
over
are
here.
fancy. I like. I see. All right.
Okay, so we're gonna see how people land, and there's a couple questions for you in the chat, which we can. I'll read them to you too if that's useful.
Please,
I'll
yes.
just let this
I
simmer
cannot
for
see.
a minute.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna end the poll. We're gonna share the results. Okay, so the correct answer is 60 days. Most people got that. And we'll also do it this way. Great. All right. So a couple questions for you. Let's see.
Please.
Let's see. There's a long question that's, I think, maybe a specific case that would probably be good for you all to talk offline. There's how many cases does an analyst receive monthly?
That's an excellent question. That's not something that I would have the answer to. I do not know. I know that there are 5 social workers here in advocacy, and we all send them an average of about between 5 to 10 a month. But that's just us. I'm not sure how many others they receive from the other counties. So that's an excellent question. I'd imagine it's in the hundreds. So.
And then another question: do they need to have GA for these SSA services?
As I stated in the beginning of the presentation, absolutely. If they're not receiving general assistance or CalWorks, then we cannot help them in advocacy. The only reason that they're eligible to receive advocacy services is that they're referred through their cash worker. So they have to be attached to a cash program in order for them to help us. I get calls from workers all the time saying, "Hey, my client only has Medi-Cal and food stamps. Can you help them?" Unfortunately, we cannot.
Got it. And then there's folks are wondering if they can reach out to you directly with specific questions or what.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Do you mind putting that in the chat?
I don't have the ability to do so because I'm on my cell
me?
phone. Like
Okay,
I said, I got told at the last minute. Yes.
No problem. Oh, in fact, I think I had an email from you. Is email the best way?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me see if I can
And I am in the field most days throughout the week. So if you send me an email, it may take me 24 to 48 hours at the most to return an email, but I'm diligent about returning all of them.
Okay. I will look for your,
And
there we go.
And then this is Magdalene, the GA analyst. I can provide some information on the advocacy, the numbers that they have. It's always fluctuating because they're getting cases assigned, but they're also closing cases. So they average about 383 active clients, and they may be getting between 14 and 30 clients assigned, while granting between 4 and 10. It just depends on the client. So
Thanks, Magdalene. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions about this topic?
Keep them coming. You guys had to listen to my rambling for 5 minutes. Please have some questions for me.
It's all good. Well, we're also going to, we have a quick thing about HDEP, and then we actually have someone from Bay Legal to talk a little bit more about the appeals process. So there might be some questions at the end that are related.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll keep moving. And then if we have other questions, we can ask them at the end.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure who was talking about HDEP, and we're going to mute. Oh, thank you. Do we have somebody presenting about HDEP?
Rasan, do you know anything about HDEP?
I mean, sure, I can do that one as well if need be.
It's the advocacy unit that kind of handles that. That's why I'm deferring to Rasan.
Well, we actually did while the HDAP program was more active. They've been put on a hold recently while some funding issues are being worked out, I should say. But as is everything that is showing you there is pretty much what our program does. We work hand in hand with CORE, as I was stating before, with Richmond Interfaith Housing. Basically, it's a program that was designed to catch the most at risk of our population and try to put them in some type of temporary to permanent housing ASAP. So the process goes like this. We get a referral. We contact. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Got you, dude. All right, man.
We get a referral.
No, I left him alone. I stopped right there and I called you. I'm done. All right.
Mr. Simmons, I think your thing is off of mute there. Thank you. All right, so we get a referral, we contact the client, get an idea of what services they're currently receiving. We get an idea of how long they've been homeless and if they are plugged into any type of community resources. And then we just dive right in from there. Individuals that have been homeless for more than 12 months in a 3-year period have applied for SSI disability. And diversion is also possible if individual is already in receipt of SSI and is pending eviction. So what that means by diversion is we have other funding where we're able to try to intercede and stop clients from becoming homeless. If there's an issue with back pay, if there's an issue with utilities that haven't been paid, if that's something that would stop them from being put out, then we jump in there. HDAP was revolutionary because it was a program that allowed us to be able to get in touch with lots of local homeowners, apartment owners, things of that nature, people that were providing housing services, and ask them, hey, would you be open to allowing us to place some of our clients here that are looking for temporary to permanent housing? And it met with great success. Lots of homeowners and people in the community were very open in allowing us to do so. Advocacy, we had like a dual role when it came to HDAP because we kept track of all the numbers and things. We kept track of how many people we helped each year, how many people we were able to place. And so, like I said, we're kind of waiting for the numbers to solidify this year to see how much good we're going to be able to do this year. But it's an excellent program. I will be the first to say that there is not enough housing for the need here in Contra Costa County. Everybody knows that. So numbers wise, when we first started, our projected housing number, I believe, was 50 clients. Over the course of a year, we were able to get those 50 out of that 50. I believe we were able to successfully place, I want to say, somewhere between high 30s, high 30s or maybe even low 40s. And so every year, depending on what the funding is, it kind of dictates, which way we're able to go. The baseline of our services doesn't change. We do pretty much the same thing that we do in advocacy. Contact clients, make sure that they're in touch with their mental health services or with their physical health services. If they haven't been placed with anybody, make sure that we get them placed. HDAP also had the ability where we would meet once a week and discuss clients that might desire or need a higher level of care. So even after we place clients, we would stay on top of them and monitor their progress for periods of like 6 months, a year, 2 years. We would, routinely check in and see how they were doing. We would get reports back from housing managers saying, hey, this client is thriving. They're doing well in this environment. This client is not. They may need to be placed into a new environment. So just lots of intense casework, working with ECMs, working with our community partners and trying to do the best that we can to get our most desperate clients off the streets and into some type of housing. If there were any slides or anything, I don't know
Sorry,
if
I
there are
was
any
just
other
talking.
slides.
I accidentally started to shut my machine down somehow. So sorry about that. It's just one of those days.
No worries.
Just get this going. And then we're going to have Bay Area Legal Aid. It's going to be our last presenter. Thank you for stepping up for that one.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are we sharing the right slide here? Okay, sorry, we got to go to the end. Close your eyes. It's a glitchy morning. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're going to turn things over to Jessica. Jessica, let me know when you're ready for your next slide.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Mark. I'm a supervising attorney at Bay Area Legal Aid. I help people with their government benefits, including the ones we've talked about here today. And I'm really excited to be here with all of you and to be co-presenting with EHSD and Contra Costa Health. I didn't include any slides on Bay Area Legal Aid, but if you are unfamiliar with us, we serve 7 Bay Area counties, spanning generally from about Napa is our northern limit down to Santa Clara County. And We help in a number of areas. Like I said, I personally help with government benefits, and our Contra Costa office is in Richmond, though we serve the whole county. With that, I'll go ahead and talk about, let's see, I'll let you pull up the slides. I have them here too, but so I'll keep going in they just went away for me.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. I don't know what is happening.
That's okay.
Let's try this. Are we good now?
Yeah, there we are.
Okay, great.
Okay. So, most actions can be appealed if your application is denied, which would include a verbal denial or failure to timely process your applications. So that's going to include for CalFresh and general assistance, you have 30 days for the county to work on the application. For CalWorks and Medi-Cal, they have 45 days, and for Social Security, they actually have as long as they want. That can be a really long process. So you can't appeal a failure to process there, but also denied applications. If someone walks in and they're verbally denied, or if they're not allowed to submit an application for some reason, that's also an action that can be appealed. If your application is approved, but you disagree with the amount that you're getting or the date that it was approved, you can appeal that. If you're charged an overpayment, which means the government is asking you to repay some of the benefits that you received. If your benefits are reduced, if you're denied services, so like if you're on Medi-Cal and Medi-Cal is refusing to cover like a prescription or a surgery that your doctor says you need, or if you're not able to access your doctors for some reason, that's something that you can appeal. Also terminations, or I'll say intercounty transfers. And what I meant to say actually when I started is we do help with appeals, and but we actually have a very good relationship with EHSD. Just because you need to file an appeal doesn't mean that like there's anything necessarily bad that happened or any ill will, more that what happened wasn't legal, and you have legal rights to protect yourself or your clients. Next slide, please. For Social Security, Rasan did kind of talk about this, so I won't go into much, but there are several levels of appeal here: a request for reconsideration, hearing request, or an appeals council review. And actually, at the end of all that, you can also go into federal court if you still wanted to. I'll just flag for a reconsideration if someone is filing that, or if you're helping someone file that, we recommend you do an informal conference. They give you 3 different options: a case review, an informal conference, or a formal conference. We recommend the middle level, the informal conference, which gives you the option to talk to someone at Social Security before a decision is made on your appeal. The case review, they're just going to look through the file, and so that might not change anything. And the formal conference is just a level of formality that people don't generally need. I'll also flag for hearing requests. At this point, I put long delays, but actually they're moving pretty quickly for Social Security these days. We're getting hearings scheduled about excuse me, 6 months out from the request, which is a long time, but is actually quite fast for Social Security. And then I'll flag deadlines, like Rasan said, 60 days from the receipt of your notice. They do give you 5 days from the date on the notice for mailing, so you have a little bit of time there. And if someone is terminated or they have like an overpayment, something where their benefits are going down, then you need to request the appeal 10 days after you get that notice, again with 5 days for mailing, so a total of 15 days after the date on the notice, in order for your benefits to continue while your appeal is going. And again, that hearing request itself is taking 60 days. The request for reconsideration also takes a long time. And so if somebody isn't getting continuing benefits, that can actually be a really long period of time that they're without benefits if you don't meet that deadline. So I would recommend you submit that appeal, submit what you can, and request the continuing benefits, even if you're not sure if that appeal is correct or not. And you can always change your mind down the line if it turns out that appeal is correct. Next slide. Excuse me, sorry, it seems like as with everyone else at EHSD, I'm a little sick too. So negative actions for your EHSD benefits, your CalFresh, your CalWorks, your Medi-Cal. There's a separate slide for GA next. First step, I would say, if you're able to talk to your worker, a lot of things are just simple mistakes. And once you're able to figure something out, you're able to get it quickly corrected. If you're able to resolve something that way, that'll be the fastest resolution for your client. So that's where I would start. There's also an ombudsperson in Contra Costa County. You can call or email her, and you may also be able to resolve things through, her name is Julie, but you may also be able to resolve things with the ombudsperson, which again, if you're able to resolve things without an appeal, that's going to be your fastest resolution. But if you aren't able to resolve things that way, or if it's taking a really long time, then you can also file an appeal. I'll flag that your deadline for appealing is 90 days from the date on the notice. There is a late appeal up to 180 days if you have a good reason for missing it. But I would say if someone comes to you like 85 days after they got this notice, you might not have time for this informal resolution process, for instance. In which case you can file an appeal. I recommend you do it online. It goes straight into the state's appeal website if you do it online. So you don't need like any kind of human intervention to make sure that your appeal is received. And you get confirmation right then and there. And again, excuse me, if you're going to file an appeal and you want your benefits to continue unchanged, then you have to file the appeal before the effective date of action on the notice. So most notices will be, the effective date of action is the first of the following month. And so you'll want to file an appeal before that, but the notice will include all that information. Next slide. For general assistance is a little bit different process. I would again recommend that you start with talking to your worker. Again, like most problems can be resolved pretty easily. Excuse me. If you do need to make an appeal, or again, for general assistance, you only have 30 days to file your appeal. So it is a tighter timeline. And so again, if you're getting close to that appeal deadline, then I would recommend that you submit your appeal. It does need to be submitted in writing and submitted at this address here, the Pleasant Hill office. But if you can't do that, you can also call and a worker will help you file the appeal. Next slide. Making sure, this kind of is just reiterating, but make sure that people aren't missing their appeal deadlines for the aid paid pending or benefits continuation, which I mentioned, that's 10 days for Social Security or before the effective date of action for the Contra Costa County benefits, the HSD benefits. And if your appeal is late, if you have like a good reason why you didn't submit on time, then you can ask for more time, but it's really just a better bet to get your appeal in on time. Next slide. People do have a bunch of rights in their receipt of government benefits. They have the right to be treated without discrimination, language access, which means that they, for most languages, you're able to get written and verbal translations and interpretation services. I will say Social Security is not as, the language rights aren't as robust with Social Security. Your forms are all going to be in English, no matter what language you speak. There are some languages that are translated for the notices, but not as many as the state of California. California is actually kind of a leader on language access. So your county benefits will have a lot more protections. There's disability, you have the right to disability accommodations. If you're unable to access the program under the rules as written because you have a disability, then you may need to be accommodated. You have the right to confidentiality. The county or Social Security can't tell other people that you're receiving government benefits, that you applied for government benefits, anything like that. And what's called due process. This means you have the right to like written notices of any actions that are going to be taken on your case or any decisions that they make regarding your case. You have the right to an appeal to challenge any actions you want. In that appeal, that means you also have the right to a separate person to look at your case and decide if that decision was right, the right to present evidence to support your case, the right to representation in your appeal if you want. It's different. The right to representation isn't like in like criminal, where if you can't afford an attorney, the government has to pay for one for you. But if you have someone who's willing to represent you, they can't be told no, essentially. And you also have the right to access your case file with or without an appeal if that's what you want. Next slide. And quickly, if you want help with your appeals from Bay Area Legal Aid, the services we can help for CalWorks, CalFresh, and General Assistance, and actually also Medi-Cal and Home Supportive Services and Medicare, that we have a separate health team. Those are the sorts of cases that we take on. Those are kind of our bread and butter cases. We can do anywhere from just advice on a case to full representation, depending on our capacity and what's going on at the same time. For Social Security cases, we are only able to do advice right now. I'm actually the only benefits attorney we have right now for both Alameda and Contra Costa County, so I do get busy, but I'm really happy to help support all of you and support your clients. I might not be able to take every case on for representation, but I'll do as much as I can. And next slide, that might be my last one. Oh, here's our contact information. So on the first slide, I had my email. All of you are welcome to send me any questions you have if you want and reach out to me for anything at any time. I'm happy to support. Like Rasan, I also get pretty busy, so I might need a little bit of time to respond to you, but I will get to you. But please don't give my email out to your clients. If you have clients you want to send to us, you can send to them here. The legal advice line is where people can call to get help with their CalWORKS, CalFresh general assistance cases. The Health Consumer Center takes on the Medi-Cal, Medicare, IHSS cases, and we'd be happy to help with any of those. And next slide. Oh, I have a quiz too. So what types of issues should you request an appeal on? Only Social Security decisions, only denied applications because overpayments can't be appealed, anytime a notice is issued, or when in doubt, file an appeal on any negative action or inaction that you think is wrong, no matter what benefit you're receiving.
Right, so we're going to give you a minute to simmer to answer the quiz. Then we're going to have we have a little bit of time for questions. One thing I did want to flag is we are going to do, as always, we do a quick survey at the end of our training. So please take a moment to do that before you leave. Put that in the chat. Okay, we're going to end this poll. We're going to share the results. Most people got it right. That's awesome. So when in doubt, file.
Yeah, when in doubt, file your appeal. An appeal, if you file it and you change your mind, you can always withdraw it. If you decide that you learn more information, actually is correct, you can withdraw it. There's no penalty if you file an appeal and you end up losing. And so it's better just file the appeal, especially if you're running up on that deadline, and you can protect your rights while you look into the case if you need. Any questions?
Yeah, we have a little time for questions. And the other thing we're gonna, in the survey, we'll ask you if there's any other kind of information you want or follow-up information, and we'll try and get back to you. The other thing I'll mention, I put it in the chat. So I see a lot of you there's 5 people under one name a couple times. So if you have not registered yourself for this training, when I send out the follow-up email, it won't actually go to you. So if you want your own copy of the slides and the recording, just drop your email in the chat here or email us at contracostacoc@cchealth.org so that we can reach out to you directly. We've got 4 minutes left if folks have questions, concerns, anything they need repeated. We have a little bit of time for this.
I'll just quickly say thanks for having me. It's really nice being here with all of you today. And, thanks for the work that you're doing. We're working in community, and I'm really happy to be able to support you all.
Thank you, Jessica. And thank you to all of our speakers. I know this is a very intense time right now for EHSD, as you might imagine. So I really appreciate you all making time to come provide this training so that we can help you help our clients. And thank you all for being here. Yes, Brittany, I see your hand up.
I wanted to say thank you to Rashawn Robinson. I know that you stepped in for your boss and your supervisor, but you did an amazing job, and the information was very clear. And I always have a lot of people asking questions about the process, and it just was on point. And I just really wanted to say thank you very much. You did a great job.
Thank you, guys. You're very
Amen.
welcome to reach out anytime. And happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas, too.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
actually, while I
too.
have you, there's 2 more things I want to plug while I have this group of people. So our point in time count is coming up in January, and we have the volunteer registration form is open. Would love to see folks. And our Homeless Persons Memorial event is happening next Friday. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. So if you have clients that you've worked with over the past 2 years that have passed away, You can submit their name, but we would also love to see you. It's going to be it's virtual and in person. And so I'm going to pull that up and you can get information both how to submit names and how to register for the event.
One thing, Jamie. When is the point and count going to be? Do you have a date?
Yep, it's January 29th. It'll be a Thursday.
Okay. Is it going to be like at 5 a.m. like we always do
Yep,
it?
always 5 a.m. So let me actually put the registration form in here. Hold on. I'm going to put the pit HUD. So one thing I'll note is you should all be getting a monthly email from the Contra Costa CoC that has all this information in there. If you're not getting it, I'll drop a link for you to register just for our mailing list, and you can get all of that information yourself. Let me just do that. So this is the sign up sheet. Okay, you know what I'm actually going to do is just drop a link to our last CoC newsletter, and that will have information about the pit. It'll have information about upcoming meetings. It will have information about the memorial. So let me just drop that in the link in the chat. Any other questions for folks while we're hanging out? Sorry, I keep sniffing in your ears. Got the crud. All right, let's see. Right, I'm not seeing any questions. Okay, this is the latest CoC newsletter. As I said, for some of you that might have missed it, we're not going to have a training in January because there's so many things going on. So stay tuned to learn what our next trainings are and what the schedule is going to be. Can't believe we're already in December. 2025 is almost over. Thank you all for your hard work. And I know we're all holding on to a lot right now with all the changes happening. So thank you for being here and continue to be kind to each other and show up for the good work.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to you too, Jen.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. All right, I'm just simmering in case there's anybody has any last things. Okay, I think our work here is done. It's noon. Go have some lunch. Bye, everybody.